What was supposed to be a quick 3-day operation has turned into one of the most devastating and geopolitically damaging military campaigns of the 21st century. Russia may be gaining ground in Ukraine, but it's losing almost everything else. This is how Putin's war in Ukraine shattered Russia's influence, weakened its alliances, and exposed the crumbling foundation of its global power. Ukraine, the war that broke the bear. Russia's invasion of Ukraine was planned as a swift, special military operation, just 3 days in and out. Instead, it's dragged on for over 3 years. On paper, Russia controls significant parts of eastern Ukraine. But even if Ukraine were to surrender tomorrow, something that doesn't look likely, Russia has already paid an unthinkable price. According to Western intelligence services, casualty estimates range from 700,000 to over 1 million Russian soldiers. Losses of material are equally staggering. This war has exposed the Russian military not as the precision hammer seen in Syria's early civil war days, but as a slow, grinding, overstretched force struggling against a neighbouring country with a smaller economy, lower population, and mostly outdated NATO gear. Syria falls, and with it, Russia's Mediterranean foothold. While Russian forces were locked in Ukraine, they failed to hold the line elsewhere. In Syria, longtime ally Bashar al-Assad fell with little resistance. The rebel uprising, led by now President al-Sharaa, overwhelmed Assad's regime. Russian air support, once decisive, was nowhere to be found. Their resources were tied up in Ukraine. The result? Russia lost its last meaningful ports on the Mediterranean. In a desperate pivot, Putin appears to be shifting infrastructure to Libya, another quagmire, another unstable region. Hardly prime beachfront real estate. But at this point, he may not have a choice. The Caucasus abandoned, Armenia and Azerbaijan. Back home, Russia's failure to support Armenia during its latest war with Azerbaijan has further cracked its image as a regional power. Armenia is a member of the CSTO, Russia's equivalent to NATO. Yet Russian peacekeepers failed to keep the peace in the contested region of Nagorno-Karabakh. Azerbaijan, calculating that Russia is distracted and weakened, took bold action, and Moscow stood by. The message was clear: Russia cannot or will not protect its supposed allies. Then came December 2024. An Azerbaijani civilian airliner en route to Russia was mistakenly shot down over Grozny, its wreckage crashing in Kazakhstan. It was mistaken for a Ukrainian drone. Putin refused to take responsibility, but this time the reaction was different. Azerbaijan shut down the Russian-owned media outlet Sputnik, raided its offices and arrested staff, some allegedly tied to the FSB. Yesterday's Russia wouldn't have faced such open humiliation. But today's Russia is overextended, distracted, and vulnerable. The erosion of Russian influence. The fallout isn't limited to Ukraine, Syria, or the Caucasus. Central Asian states, once firmly under Moscow's thumb, are drifting toward new allies, China, and in some cases Europe. Russia's strategic partnerships are fraying, and China, Beijing sees the writing on the wall. It's expanding its own influence across Central Asia while watching Moscow fumble. Meanwhile, in Africa, Russia's rebranded Wagner Group, now the Africa Corps, is stretched thin. Its operations face resistance from rebel factions, and it receives little funding or attention. The results? Minimal. Elsewhere, the Kremlin watched on in silence as a joint Israeli-American coalition crushed its key ally in the region, Iran. This is the same Iran that provided the Russian SMO with drones and munitions for Ukraine. They received only words for their efforts. The price of a land grab. So what has Russia gained in exchange for all this? A few slivers of territory in eastern Ukraine. And in return, it has lost regional hegemony, strategic global influence, trust and credibility with its allies, key military and trade footholds that took decades to build. Nations once aligned with Moscow are now cautious, calculating and drifting away. Any new partnership Russia attempts will come with an asterisk, because when it mattered, Russia wasn't there. It didn't support its friends. It couldn't deliver. Legacy of hubris. As the war in Ukraine grinds on with no end in sight, the rift between Russia and China grows deeper. And the global gap between Russia and the United States, That widens by the day. What began as a gamble to reunite the glory of Imperial Russia may go down in history as the moment Moscow lost its empire for good. In the end, Putin's legacy may be that of a dictator undone by his own hubris. A tale as old as empire. Thanks for watching. Up next, China's intervention in Myanmar, its own version of the Wagner Group, and how it could be a harbinger of war with Taiwan. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay in the prone.